Hey class, welcome back. We are going to cover lesson five in the video due to the snowstorm. So there will be actually two video lessons for this lecture. We're covering two topics because we had the presentations last week. So we'll do all the material kind of through these, and then next week we'll do a bit more of a hands-on workshopping class around the WordPress stuff, which we'll get into in a minute. Okay, so today, lesson five, we are going to cover basically SEO, um, keyword phrases in SEO, and we're in the website the website module here. All right. So, just to do a little recap, and then we'll get into website search engine, and then we'll really talk about kind of search engine marketing and SEO, which is a very fundamental part of digital marketing. It's how people find your products and your website. So it's very important to understand kind of how these search engines work and how you can basically impact your results through doing some stuff around your content and your site, which we'll get into. Okay, so just a reminder, we during the last class we went through all the HubSpot stuff, so you should all have your login now, and you believe hopefully everyone's gone in. We had a couple challenges getting people in during class, but I think our good IT peer support sorted it all out, and hopefully everybody's got access. If not, please go and make sure you have access because we're going to need that in a few weeks for some of the social media posting and email assignments. Also, we are going to start using WordPress. So I have sent on Slate this list, which you probably can't read on the slide here, but you can read in the Slate communication. You all have an ID and a password to log into WordPress. There's also the link that you actually go to log in. So please go and try to log in. You don't have to do anything yet. We're going to work on that next week in class. And this is kind of how you go log in. I mean, you guys know how to log in, but you got your username from that spreadsheet. You've got your password, and make sure you use capital S in the student. You've all got a student number as your ID, and then you can click the I am not a robot, and you can go check it out. If you want to play around, feel free to play around. If not, we will work on it next week. Okay, so just to recap, so we went through the entire campaign. You guys, thanks for doing your presentations last week. Really good. Everyone did a really good job. And today we're going to kind of dig more into some of the tactical stuff around digital. We talked about kind of all the parts of this particular campaign that we're working on. So we've got our social media stuff, our email, our influencer, our website, all that type of stuff. And today we're going to be focused on this blue area here, the keyword phrase and website association. So again, we're going to get into it in a second. Again, this is where your website will live on WordPress. We went in and signed up, and then you're going to show up underneath one of those groups. So basically, your student number is your group number on that drop down. So you'll be able to see your site as you start to build it. Okay, so to get into website marketing, I think most of you, I assume, know what a website is. There's all sorts of different kinds of websites. Certainly these days, a lot of sites are built for mobile. You guys are all mobile natives, digital natives. So there's different kind of design and style and content kind of plans. This is not a website kind of UX design course. I believe, have one of those. This is more just we're going to do a very basic website, and then we're going to use that as part of a campaign. But basically, you can go and look at different websites. It's usually on the main domain, so on a .com or .ca. It's the primary kind of place you drive people to, and it has all sorts of content areas, contact, lead gen, product information, knowledge centers. Really, it's the front door into your business. Many sites now also have a blog. A blog is a place that you can basically put more frequent content. So you can put new posts up once a week, twice a week, once a month, whatever you want to do. It's a place, as most of you have probably been to blogs, where it's more a lot of times educational content, thought leadership content. It's really stuff that companies or individuals are sharing that is more timely and it or seasonal. So, doing things around Christmas or doing things around summer, that type of thing. But it's really you have a content plan around your website, as a static kind of place, and then you have your blog is your more kind of where you put a lot of your dynamic content, so your frequently published content. And as we get into SEO, your blog is very important for Google. Google looks for websites that have blogs that are published frequently because Google has a kind of what they call a crawler that will crawl websites and see what the website is. We'll talk more in a second, but the more frequently you update your site or publish a new blog, the more frequently Google will come and check out your site. And so it will index your site more frequently. So your blog is very helpful to do that. And that's where a lot of people have it. We also have e-commerce type sites. Again, you guys are probably familiar with the Shopifys and these other sites where or platforms where you can build an e-commerce component. So you can take orders, you can have subscriptions, you can have people put credit cards in for all sorts of things. They can sign up for software, sign up for courses, they can buy books, they can buy all sorts of things, clothes. But it's a different kind of site. So there's the marketing kind of sites, which are the product information, the blogs, and this is really a transactional kind of site, shopping cart, that kind of thing. Um, there's a lot of websites on the internet, over 1.5 billion websites, and some of them aren't even active anymore. Sometimes companies go under or people stop, they just stop publishing to their site, but there's still a lot. And really the question is for you as a marketer is how can you make your customers know about your site, right? If you're somebody like Nike, people know Nike, the brand, so they're on online searching for Nike anyways. They will find the Nike website and the Nike store. But if you're a small brand or a new brand, you have to come up with a way to show up and have people be able to find your site. So we call this discoverability, and it's something that's very important when you're designing digital marketing campaigns for companies. So search engines, most of you kind of know what a search engine is. And I'm sure many of you have used them, if not all of you have used them. As I've talked to many people, I think they've used search engine to actually figure out they want to come to Sheridan as one of the many things they do. But search engines are core. They're the most used application on the internet. People use them now for, every day, multiple times a day, whether it's, even some of the AI stuff now, the Siri stuff on your phone. A lot of it is using the search engines to figure out whatever your question is, whether you're trying to find something or find an answer to something. These are the places you go. Google is by far the biggest search engine in the world. It's default on a lot of phones and mobile devices as well as computers, but it dwarfs all of the other types of search engines. There are some overseas in Asia, and I know some of you from other countries, maybe in India, you may use some different search engines there, but generally Google has got a 97, 98% share of the global search market, which is why they're obviously a great company to invest in, and they generate a lot of revenue from their search business. How does a search engine work? So a search engine behind your site, the pretty site that you see, is what we call source code. And if you go onto a web page and you go and you kind of, I guess it's what, right click, you look at source, you can actually, or view source, you can actually see the source code behind websites. And what you see is this code, basically, HTML or some other language, that this is what Google is reading. So this is what Google sees when they look at your site or any site. And in here, there is information that explains to them what is on this site, what type of information. And what they're trying to do is figure out which sites should be shown to users of Google when they're looking for something. So if you're looking for Nike shoes, they've Google has gone out and scoured all of the internet, so they crawl every page on the internet, and they're trying to figure out which page should they show you when you are searching for stuff. And that's really this algorithm of Google. That's the magic sauce of Google, is this algorithm It scours the internet, builds a database of everything on the internet, and then is able to present that, in a very intelligent way to a user. And it's pretty freaky when you go and you type one letter now, and it seems to know what you're looking for. So it's incredibly powerful using all of the data that Google has on all of us, from a profile perspective, as well as they know what all the content on the internet is. So we call the search engine results page. So when you first put a query into Google, and so into the search bar, you're shown a page, right? Now you could be on maps, you could be on shopping. There's all sorts of different areas now. But basically what you're seeing is the results that it's serving up to you based on what they think you're looking for, and what Google thinks is the best solution to the question or the product you're looking for. So again, that's the algorithm. That's where you do all sorts of things to help Google understand kind of what you're good at, so that they show you to people. But basically, these results pages have a few components to them. And again, you're very familiar with these, I'm sure, but they have ads. So some of the results are clearly advertisers. So those are paid spots. So that's a different kind of search marketing. There's two kinds of search marketing. There's search engine optimization, which is what we call organic, which is free. So that's where what we're going to talk about today, where what we're doing is constructing our content and our website in a way that we show up in these search rankings, without having to pay. The other option is to pay. So you can buy that keyword and you can show up at the top. That's a different course that you will take later in your Sheridan program. But just to know, there's these two different sides. So when you see ad or you see sponsored, that means that's a paid ad, and you can actually buy that spot. So you can pay to get in front of a user that's searching for something. And then the rest of this content is organic content. It could be maps, images, videos, blogs, all sorts of things basically related to what the user is searching for. It's really important that you show up on the first page of those search engine results or the search results. It significantly drops off if you're on and I don't know, if we were in person, I would ask you this question: how many people ever go past the first page? Right at the bottom of the Google search results, you can go like next page, next page, next page. Most people just stay on the first page. So the first page gets 92% of all the traffic. So that means that if there's a search result, a search query put into Google, it shows results. 92% of people just use something on that first page. They may not take the very first listing, but they're going to just take something on that first page, right? When you get to the second page, we're down to 5%, third page, 1%. So you see not much traffic goes beyond the first page. And it's very important that you are good at getting your product or your content to show up when people type in certain search strings. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. And this kind of, again, gives you a sense of the click-through rates for people showing up in certain slots. Think of it as, the first slot, second slot, third slot down that page. So if you're in the first slot, you're getting 18% of the clicks, the second slot, 10%, and then you can see that as you go down, it really drops off. So most people, especially now, Google is so good at understanding what you're looking for and matching you with the right result that you really almost a lot of times are just trusting it to click on the first couple of things. But as a marketer, it's important to understand this, because now we've got to make sure we're showing up in those first few slots. And you can imagine, with 1.5 billion websites, this is a bit of a challenge. And this is really the trick. And when you hear about things like search engine optimization, SEO jobs, this is what SEO and search engine optimization, this is a function, this is a skill that people in the industry have. There's companies that do this, they're experts at this, that help you or help Sheridan or help any other companies do this. And this might be something that some of you in this class get into, because it is a very lucrative area of digital marketing if you get good at it. Again, just kind of showing more charts how important it is to to get on top of this thing. Okay, so again, just to kind of go through the page and talk a little bit about. So really, when we talk about search engine marketing, what we're trying to do is get on this page. We're trying to control and influence Google. So we want to increase ourselves on the results. We want to increase the visibility of our website so the link shows up. If you read these ads, you can see they're also explaining, the value proposition. They're perhaps giving an offer. They're trying to get people to click on the ad to come to the website. So that's the third part, is get the visibility. People see our name, but then we want to get people to click through. So we need to have words and descriptions that make people want to come to see us. And then ultimately we want to, get people to buy on our site or come to our store and shop. But that's the purpose of the website. So your Google results get them to your website or your blog. Your blog and your website then get people to actually buy the product. So again, we talked about this a second ago, but there's two parts. There's the paid advertising, which is at the top there. So all those products there are paid ads, and you can see there's other ones here that say ad or sponsored. And then below that are what we call organic search results. So again, those are the ones we're going to be talking about today. So again, you guys can go back, and if you're interested in SEO or search engine optimization, I would suggest reading more about this. We're just going to cover the, kind of high level stuff and do a little exercise on it. But, it's very important thing to understand, and it's a great area to kind of dig into. Just down here, one of the points here that's really important that we're going to talk about. First of all, is optimizing your website design and content to be more attractive to the search engine's ranking criteria. So we're going to talk about that. And then really to understand, have a content strategy that is really aligned with what your audience is looking for. And this is why we've done all that work on the strategy, on the persona, and you'll see where that comes into play when you start designing content and keywords and ads to appeal to your persona of your target market. Just in terms of like a few definitions here. So, a meaning of query. So when you're actually querying, what is the intent of the user? What are they looking for? What are the relevance of the web pages that you're showing up? The quality of the content, the usability of your web pages. These are all the things that Google is going to use to rank you. So it's important that you understand some of these things. And like if your page is not well designed, and even if people bounce off your page, Google takes all that into consideration, and they're able to say, well, listen, I sent some traffic over to your site and they all bounced off. So I clearly don't, either Google is saying to itself, I don't know what that site is, or it's not very good. So again, all these digital metrics are influence your search results, because Google, at the end of the day, and you have to keep this in mind, it's the most important thing. Google's value proposition is they try to serve up the most relevant content and links and sites for the user's search query. So if they're seeing that your site is not satisfying that, no one's clicking on your ad, everyone's bouncing off your site, they're going to assume that for the query, that particular query, your content and your site is not very good, and they're going to move you somewhere else. So you really got to always think about it through Google's eyes. And there are some, there's some links in here to some other blogs you can go and read, some videos. We're not going to show them all in the class, but I strongly encourage you to go and look at this. There is little tips and tricks that are very helpful when you get into this. Like I say, this is just scratching the surface, the discussion we're having and the exercise we're going to do. There's a lot more sophistication. There's some technical elements that you need to understand, all sorts of stuff. So again, this is very complicated stuff. I would suggest reading through it or doing more research on it, but just, showing you kind of your on-page SEO elements, like the actual code, what's on the page, what is important here, things like, and again, we're gonna do some exercise around this, but what is the content? What are the words on your page? Your headlines, your headers. Google looks at when we go through WordPress exercise, you'll understand this, but different pieces of content on your site are tagged differently so that Google knows what's a headline versus what's body copy. That all of your images are tagged because, again, Google can't read an image. Well, it's getting better at it, but right now it still looks at there's a tag attached to the image to tell it what it is. So all of these kinds of things, and these are very technical elements that again we'll talk a little bit about when we do your page design. But again, just highlighting this, not even something you necessarily need to really dig into right now, but just understand that the page design is important. And then you get kind of off-page stuff. So think of this as other sites. Other sites referring to your site is very good because then Google starts to think, oh, people are referring or linking to your site. So you must be an authority on something, or you must have very good content. Doing things like sharing them out on social media, again, creates more links to your page that Google likes. And again, there's a strategy and programs and agencies can help you with this. There's actually initiatives you can take as a company to try to increase kind of your off-page SEO and people linking to you. And again, we won't get into this in too much detail. This is pretty sophisticated. And again, some of you can dig in if you want to, but really understanding the technical elements of your page, how fast does it load, mobile friendliness, and you can test stuff like this, the UX on your site, so all sorts of stuff like that. But it is important. So again, just keep in mind, it is important for SEO if you really get into this stuff. Again, I would keep this in mind if you ever get into it in more detail. But when you're looking at the Google algorithm, there's some key things you really have got to do here. And this is a bit of a list. You can see again, there's a lot of items on here. Some of them are more technical than others, but we'll go through a bit more of them when we do our actual page design. So just an example, and this is really where we get into it for kind of this course, and the exercise we're going to do around search engine optimization is really trying to match content and messaging to our persona and what the persona is looking for. That's really all we're talking. We're not going to talk about some of the technical elements of the page. We're really just going to start with kind of the strategy, the content strategy stuff. So, what we're just an example here with Sheridan College. Obviously, when someone types in Sheridan College, it should show up. In this case, Sheridan is paying to have them show up as the top result, but you should also show up organically because if you type in Sheridan College, you would assume the user is looking for the Sheridan College website. Again, we already kind of talked through a bit of this. So now we'll get into kind of a bit of the exercise. And this is probably the most important thing to remember at this point about SEO is this idea of having a search phrase versus this keywords. You probably all heard the term keywords, but it's very hard. What you're trying to do when you're a small business or a medium-sized business is you're trying to use a set of keywords or a phrase to help narrow down the volume of searches, because really you're looking for a specific consumer looking for something specific. And the more words they put in, the more specific they're being. So if we look here at the term Greek food, right? So Greek food, if you just said Greek food, it wouldn't know. It could be Greek recipes, could be all over the world. But if you start saying Greek food Mississauga, okay, now it's looking at Mississauga. And then it's kind of going to kind of guess, are you looking for delivery? Or are you looking for a restaurant? Are you looking for something on a certain road? You're starting to narrow it down. And so if you start thinking about this one here, Greek food, Mississauga delivery. Now that's a very specific list of websites. Imagine the amount of the results being served up. Maybe there's 50 Greek restaurants or 20 Greek restaurants in Mississauga that do delivery. So you now have a much tighter list of companies that Google's going to serve up. And this is where, when you're thinking about this for your assignment, and we'll go through this in a second, but you want to narrow it down with a specific enough search phrase that you're actually targeting people that are looking, like if you're in a gym, for instance, personal fitness, Mississauga, new gyms, Mississauga, yoga classes, Mississauga. you're getting into a search query that's manageable from the volume of search results, if that makes kind of sense for folks. And this is kind of the trick in this at this stage is, understand your target persona and what they're looking for, and then identify some search phrases that they will be using to find you or that you would want to show up in, right? And those phrases are the words you want to include on your site. And again, we'll show this in more detail. So that now when Google is able to say, oh, this person's looking for a gym, a yoga gym in Mississauga, your page is going to say Yoga Gym Mississauga, new yoga studio Mississauga. And Google is able to match you with that query. Because there's not as many of those results, hopefully you'll bubble up to the top of them versus, again, if someone just searched yoga, yoga could have a billion results, literally. So narrowing it down, and you using all the right keywords to narrow it down, because people are becoming more sophisticated with their searching, and you probably, all of you know this. You don't just search yoga. You search yoga studio on Dundas in Mississauga near Square One. Like you're very specific, and that's where you want to get your content to match that. So this is again just a good example. Like people use these phrases now, and this is the kind of stuff that you want to understand. What phrases, what specific elements of that phrase are your target audience or your persona using? And this is what you want to focus on for your SEO exercise, right? And this is again the kind of the trick of this, because think of it as a funnel where at the top there's all the companies, there's 1.5 million websites, but every time you put a word in the search phrase, okay, even if you just said fitness, okay, you're down to a few. Then fitness Mississauga, you're down to a few more. And you want to narrow that down to where you're sitting in the spot where there's enough people looking for that query that you're showing up, but you're also very specifically satisfying that query. So when you say we offer new fitness classes in Mississauga, if someone sees that, they click on it, they come to your website, you offer fitness class in Mississauga, and they can see it. They're like, oh, these are great. These are fitness classes in Mississauga. So you want to match your content with that query. Again, we kind of talked about this. But you guys kind of get the gist of this. You're trying to focus on these queries. So this is a bit of an example. So you can see that, just as an example for kickboxing, they've used the term kickboxing all over the website. Now, kickboxing is a very broad term. It's just one word, but it's a good start. So if you say, okay, kickboxing, we want to make sure we're in the kickboxing space. We've got to have kickboxing. Now, the next thing is, okay, what are the other phrases in that search string that you could also include in content on your website? So kickboxing, Mississauga, kickboxing for beginners, whatever it is, you want to start to match your keywords on your content in your site with this phrase. So you can start to see this, right? So kickbox classes in Mississauga. Again, this evolved kickboxing. You can see they're hitting all of those keywords in their ad and so we'll talk about this blurb that Google finds in a minute. This is different, but this content is on their site and they're focusing on hitting all the words in the search phrase. And that's what you want to do. You want to figure out some search phrases, and then you want to make sure your content has all of the words in it. And again, just this is always a good exercise, is think about yourself, think about how you do this, think about how you put phrases in, think about how you make results, because you have to put yourself in the mind of a consumer and specifically your persona. And that's why we made these personas. What are they doing? What are they looking for? What are they typing in there? This is what you want to start to understand. And you might say there might be a bunch of things they type in there. So you don't have to have just one phrase. You could have multiple phrases, but you want to include as much of that as you can on your site. And this is kind of what we're talking about, this phrase versus a word. It's this idea of competition. Like again, imagine that Google has 10 slots to present results. If you're going out with a simple, high volume search like car. People don't even really search car anymore. That people are more sophisticated with search. This is kind of in the old days, but car has a lot of results. So there's a lot of competition. And it's not particularly relevant. Say we're a car dealer in Mississauga. We're a Toyota dealer in Mississauga. Well, we don't really care if people are searching for car. It's not specific enough for us. There's a lot of competition for that, and we're not, and it's not really, we don't even know what they want. So us trying to get into the car stream doesn't really help us. We want to know if someone searches, a Toyota dealer or best car dealer in Mississauga, then we want to pop up, right? We don't really care about a general car thing. So it's this idea of you want to be relevant and you want to get into things that aren't as competitive, right? So they're not as high volume. So maybe there's less people typing it in, but it's more specific and it's going to turn into a sale for you, right? So again, this is a little more specific. Buy used blue 2010 Toyota Camry Mississauga. Okay, that we can work with. That's more specific, right? And so this is what we call a medium tail, where it's relevant because we know exactly what this person's looking for. So we could be relevant. I mean, if we were selling a 2010 Toyota Camry, but the point is, you know what this person's looking for, and we want to somewhere in the middle. We want to know what our personas are looking for so that we can serve it up, right? We don't want to be everything to everybody because that doesn't work. So I want you to just do a test here, and you don't have to do it right now, but think about it. Go and actually test, go into Google and search something what we call like a very high volume, low relevance word like food. See how many results there are at the bottom of the page. It's probably like 5 million, right? And then start to say things like healthy vegan Greek food Dundas or healthy vegan Greek food Brampton and see how many results there are there. And what you're trying to do when you're planning this from a marketing perspective is find these sweet spots where there's less search results because you don't want to compete with people looking for food. Like, that's a really competitive word, but if you can be more specific and focus your efforts on something relevant for your target market with less competition but more relevancy in your product, this is where like secret sauce happens. And again, this is just strategic thinking. It's not, you're not getting into technology, you're not getting into any technical elements of the site. You're just thinking about understanding your audience's search behavior, and then matching your content and your website content to that. That's all we're talking about, and that's really all we're going to do in this course, right? So we kind of call this the medium tail, right? It's got enough words in the search query or in the phrase where you're narrowing it down to less than 500,000 results, or even less than that, 50,000 results, but you don't want it too many words where it gets too tight. Like, if you had 10 words in it, now it's too short a tail. There's no one's going to actually, because the balance is how many people will actually type that in. Like if we go back to this one, how many people are actually going to type in buy used blue 2010 Toyota Camry Mississauga? Not very many. So you want to open the door enough for enough people, but not too many where you're not able to really deliver on it. And again, just some more thinking on this kind of medium tail idea, right? Where we've got this search phrase that's the right length. And again, I encourage you to go and watch this. The Yoast is an SEO company. There's a tool that we'll be using within the WordPress exercise that will help you do some of the SEO. It actually helps you understand if your site is matching your keywords. It's a pretty cool little tool. But go and watch this video, and it'll kind of give you some background on how to do it. It kind of goes through this puppy training exercise, and this girl is from the video. And it's actually pretty good. Like she explains how if you are trying to advertise or build a site for this puppy training company, what would be the keywords that you'd pick? What's the right kind of number of words in the phrase? What is the phrase to be able to satisfy and drive enough traffic to your site and be relevant? And then she's got some examples here about blog posts, right? So, the benefits of puppy training, what to expect from puppy training. These are things people type in that could be blog post content that specifically address these things. And that's where you've got a general site, but then you use your blog to be very specific against search questions. And I'm sure you've all used this where you're trying to figure out how to do something or you're trying to find an answer. A lot of times you're directed to a specific blog post on somebody's site talking about that specific thing or a YouTube video. Like the YouTube search engine is the number two search engine. I think it goes Google, actually Amazon Marketplace now is one of the top ones, and the Google YouTube, which is owned by Google, but their search engine is one of the most used search engines in the world now. So those I'd say are the three big ones, right? Amazon, Google, and YouTube. Okay, so assignment 2 is really doing this for your PSB business. So again, we kind of talked through it, but you want to understand the key phrases, the keyword phrases that you want to appeal to, and then design the web content or start to design the web content to match it. Okay, this is a content strategy exercise. So again, you're going to build on your persona and understanding what they're looking for. You're going to start to construct some keyword phrases that are relevant for that person, and then you're going to design some content that matches that. So if we go back to one of the kind of sample personas for Julia here, so we understand some things, we kind of know what she's looking for, right? We know what she's looking for in a fitness gym, potentially what kinds of activities she likes to do. You can read this and start to think about what are some queries she would look for, right? What are some things she might be typing into Google, right? Just all these, she likes to do different things. So she's looking for new exercises, new gyms, new whatever it is. But you can start to get a sense of put yourself in her position. This is why, again, why these personas are so important. What is Julia doing? What is she looking for? When she goes and opens her phone in the morning, what does she type in Google? When during the day does she look for things? And just, here's a bit of a day in the life, right? So Saturday at 11:30 or 10:30, Julie has finished a long brunch with her friends. They were talking about how hard it is to keep fit when they're so busy and tired from work. Julia wants to join an exercise class near her home. What would she type in her search? Right? So you guys can think about that. But this is what we call use case. Here's a specific use case that you want to show up when Julia is doing this exercise. So we want to understand what is she looking for. So again, she told us what she's looking for. She's looking for an exercise class near her home. She doesn't have very much time. She's tired from work. So these are some of the things that you can start to think about. What would she be typing into this search query? What are the benefits she's looking for? She might be looking for short, flexible exercise classes near my home. And I know a lot of times we're talking about price. So, affordable exercise classes near my home, whatever, things like that. Those are the kinds of things that she's typing. Now, she might not type near my home. She might type Brampton. She might type Mississauga. She might type like more close to her actual house. So those are some of the things, again, you want to include in your things. So for your assignment, you really want to think about your target audience and your persona. Then you want to think about your USP, your unique selling proposition, and the product and benefits and the pricing around your gym. And this is why we've gone through, you've designed your gym. You've designed your gym and the service offering to match your persona. Now what we want to understand is, what do we tease out of this stuff? How do we describe the gym on our website or in our ads so that we're addressing these search queries that Julia might have? And so really, when you get down to SEO, which is search engine, use of search engine to drive traffic, it's all about matching your proposition to what Julia is looking for. So specifically searching for, right? So again, think about this. And this is what we want to do. This is a very fundamental piece of digital marketing around getting people to be able to find your site, come to your site, and get relevant information on their site. Because if Julia is looking for these healthy, these affordable, flexible gym classes near her house, and so you do a good job getting her to your site, and then all of a sudden you're not talking about flexible exercise classes near her home, she'll be like, well, hold on a second. this isn't what I was looking for, and she'll bounce, which is bad. So these are some of the things that you can use to kind of figure out what this search phrase is, and then what should the content be on your website, right? So we've got our 4 Ps. So again, we know Julia is looking for flexible exercise classes near her home. What do we have? We have women only exercise. We've got all these different classes. We're affordable. We got pay-per class, which she might like, right? We got local branches. So that's important because she's looking for something near her home. You've got free trial. So that's something you might want to tease to her. Why don't you come try it out? We've got a variety of classes, only 30 minutes intensive. Again, she's trying to get in shape. So 30 minutes of intensive in and out of the gym. That could be appealing. Women only might be important. She didn't say that, but you never know. She could be looking for women only gyms near my home or fitness classes, right? So when we start thinking about this, and you start thinking at the bottom here about how to pull out the benefits to build these phrases, this is the kind of stuff. So if you think about, in the first box here, so what is the product that you're selling, right? Could be women's only fitness classes. What are the benefits? They're flexible. They're only 30 minutes. What's another benefit? So again, go into our USP again. It's fun, right? Free trials. And then what's the location? Mississauga, right? So now you're starting to build some content that would appeal to Julia based on what she's looking for. Right. So these are just some examples. So these could be search queries that Julia is putting in. Kickboxing, intensive, free trials, Mississauga, kickboxing fun, 24/7 Mississauga, kickboxing women, paper class, Mississauga. You could see her typing this stuff in to try to find the place she's looking for that's the best servicing her interests. And this is matching your proposition, which makes it all work well. Right? So here you go. She's typing in kickboxing, women, free trials, Mississauga, and Evolve Kickboxing, which has done a good job with SEO, is popping up. So this is how this kind of connection is made, right? So a good checklist for these keyword phrases, 4 to 5 words, keyword phrases that are used by our persona. So we're not making up words. We're not using acronyms. We're not using slang that she might not use. It's things she would actually type into the browser, into the search engine. And then repeating these on your site over and over, that gets into the content design. But once you know the phrase, you know these keywords. And again, if you think back to this, you could be not just doing it for one search phrase. You want to do multiple search phrases. You want all these words to pop out of your site. And this is a bit of the design of the content. All right, so this is the first step in designing the website. Again, I know we haven't gotten to actually build a website because you don't know what to put on the website. So we've done our strategy, we've done our persona, we've come up with our value proposition for our gym. Now we need to take that and distill it into these keyword phrases. Then we're going to start doing what we call pillar content. So this is the copy that's on your site. Product definition, when you land on a website describing the gym, click here to see more products, click here to see classes, all that stuff. You need to know. You don't just design what you want. You have to design what your audience is looking for. And so this is what you're kind of doing and really what assignment 2 is about. Right? So think about it like this, right? You're going to have whatever your keyword phrase is, you're going to have web content to match it. And it could be blended together, but you're going to have, for all these keyword search phrases, you're going to have web content that matches it, right? So, and that's really what we're talking about for this class. Now, for this particular assignment, you only need to do one. So this is just an assignment. So you're going to figure out one search phrase for your persona that you think they would use, and then you're going to design your site to match that search phrase. And then we're going to actually, when we post it, Google will actually index your page, and you will be able to type it in and see if you're indexing, if you're showing up on the first page. And that's really the test here. Can you design a page that shows up when somebody is typing in the search phrase that you're targeting, right? So hopefully that makes sense. I will be honest, this is a bit of a challenging, or you got to think about it a little bit, but it's really fundamental. And once you get the hang of it, you'll be really good at it. But it is a little bit different way to think about this. But like I say, extremely important. And this could be the same whether you're designing videos. Videos have keyword attached to them. If you're an influencer, what are people looking for? You want to show up on YouTube, you have to describe what's in the video. So there's tags you put on your video, and it's the same exercise. All these videos have to show up because someone's looking for them, right? So it's a really good exercise to use. Okay, so that's the end of the first lecture for today's class. So I'll upload this and then do your first test. So we're gonna have two quizzes today. So you can do the first quiz, and then I will post up the second lecture.